which we were able to provide tonight. Then the storm had already crossed from the town hall and our place. They took the barn. I don't know how much damage there was to the house, and we've never been told about that. We've owned the place since 1950, and the barn was destroyed and was rebuilt in 1918. Now, if you go out in a barn looking, look toward the roof, and a lot of the roof boards are painted. So we believe that they used some of the siding from the destroyed barn to use for roof boards in the new 1918 barn, which still stands. And so that's about I remember there. I remember talking to my neighbor Bob Brisley. He's got a couple of kids here tonight, Joel and Joanne, and he told about it. He was 4 years old when it crossed, and he saw it, and he remembered it very vividly. I don't know what he's told you kids about it, and he wasn't reluctant to talk about it, and yet he didn't he didn't do a lot of broadcasting about it. But he remembers that the Middlenesses lived there. The abstract which we have never mentioned the Middleness name. So apparently he was a renter for a year or so, but it was Gus Kebby who owned that farm in about 1918 and sold it to the Swinke family, who held it till 1950 when we bought it. I don't know how much Bob Miller has to report as far as the Growls are concerned, but one of the newspaper clippings said that Amanda Growl was badly injured and died the next day. She did not die the next day. She lived for many, many years. And Elton Growl showed me a picture of her. He also mentioned that a Growl home on Waters Road had been destroyed, just where that might have been.
That's my house.
Pardon me?
That's our house. They rebuilt it on the same foundation, but it was totally destroyed.
Okay. Okay.
It's a bus farm, owned by a bus.
Okay, the last little memory I have is that there was the remains of a chair hanging in a tree on a piece of property my dad bought sometime later, sometime in the 1920s. Dad bought 40 acres east of what the Marshall farmstead was. And it was in the 30s and probably the 40s. We could still see that chair hanging high in a tree, close to a half mile from the former Marshall farmstead. And
Was that
on
Mercedes Road? No.
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No. But I think we owe quite a lot of thanks to Marilyn Lamb, who built a house on that property. She and her husband, Eldon, who has died several years ago, built a house on that property. Oh, I'd say in the 60s, possibly. Anyhow, that's about all I have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Reno. Appreciate that. Bob, did you want to add any other comments or stories?
Just a couple of things. I was a teenager when the tornado, when I was at the barn looking to the west and saw two tornadoes come together, and that was the Pleasant Lake tornado, 1953. My mother was a teenager west of Manchester. In fact, she was 16 years old, and she saw this tornado come. And I should have asked questions, but all I know is that she said she saw the tornado come. And thinking about that, I would imagine that she had 7, 8 brothers and sisters at that time, and her parents were quite concerned because her dad had grown up on Waters Road, and his brother and wife and 6 children lived in the old bus farmstead about a half a mile north of the church. That's about all I know about that. But I am amazed about the church itself. When I look at let me just read a couple parts of the minutes here. There is no reference to anybody having any problems with this tornado. No reference to homes destroyed. It's only about the church. And the two days after the tornado, these are the minutes from the special congregational meeting that was held on Friday, June 8th, at 1917 at 2 p.m. in the parsonage. The congregation held a meeting for the purpose of discussing the reconstruction of the property, church, school, parsonage, and barn. All of these had been partially destroyed, all of which were destroyed by the cyclone on Wednesday, June 6th. During the meeting, the following members were selected to serve on the construction committee: Jacob Kingeter, Friedrich Heist, Edwin Buss, my family, Emmanuel Schenk, and George Heist. And the committee received the instruction, the power to tackle the construction of the church immediately. It was decided that the tower should be built from the bottom up and it should be moved forward, the parsonage, etc., and the barn. No reference, though, to families having any, damage. And this is in contrast to my house burned down in 1992. And I had all kinds of support from neighbors, and everybody came and assisted. And we don't read that, we don't hear that story. So maybe that was something that people just took care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. Appreciate your help. Any other stories, comments from people? I really appreciate you people coming tonight who were tied in somehow with this event. I'd like to get your pictures, certainly, for sure. I'll give you an email address. We can email them on or give us a disc. And the bristly thing, still, I got to figure this out because I was really trying to figure out if I could find, the Manchester Enterprises are indexed up to 1917. Unfortunately, they're not indexed in 1917 up to that point. But I looked up Fred Brisley, so I found several references to him. But I'm just trying to figure out, is there somewhere Matt Blosser, as editor of the Enterprise, reported on everything going on in terms of home construction. So if somebody wants to know the history of their home in Manchester, around this area there, if you can figure out who the property owner was at the time, Matt will talk about it. He'll say, so-and-so was out doing plasterwork, so-and-so was out doing this. I'm trying to figure out if there's some reference to whatever happened at your house in 1917 somewhere. Whether it was Chelsea, Standard, or Manchester Enterprise reported on, the rebuild of Fred Brisley's house is going on. I'm just trying to find that fact somewhere. And it's still a puzzle out there. We'll work on it still, but thank you for coming. I appreciate knowing that there's a Brisley here, because I traced him all over the place. He left and did all sorts of things, but he came back and was buried here in Manchester. Somebody brought him back, but I got the strange sense he was just a single guy. Anyways, any other questions or comments? I got one more picture and something else here. Yes?
I went to the Malin Smith's auction. I spent a lot of money there, and there was a couple pictures of the tornado, but nothing of great magnitude, just stuff that really isn't that sharp and clear. But there was a couple pictures of Malin Smith's place during that tornado.
All right, good, thank you. Yes?
Jerry Swartout has a nice picture of the little Methodist church on the north side of the road and the town hall on the south side.
Oh, okay.
It may be in one of our earlier calendars.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Jerry didn't seem to think it was any big deal. I thought it was terrific myself. A picture was hanging in my office.
I never thought to look at the calendars. Pictures are all online. I should have skimmed through there and see what was in there about the tornado.
But
Yeah.
I bid on that at Malin Smith's auction, and I outbidded one of the neighbors that owns the property. But I still ended up with it. It's willing to spend the money, so
Okay, good.
whatever.
We have a guest with us tonight, Logan Reppert, right there, student at Manchester, and About 2 weeks ago, Sue LaRoque called me from River Raisin Antiques, and she said there's a young man in here that brought in a picture that he bought, and you've got to see it. Okay, it's the Manchester Hotel and Frank's Place, what is now Frank's Place next to it. It's a picture that I've never seen before. I've never seen this picture, and I had the opportunity to photograph it. But we studied it pretty carefully. She looked at it pretty carefully with other pictures she had of the Manchester Hotel. That's clearly the hotel. That's clearly the building next to it. And the question is, what is that tank? What's it used for?
Is it manure?
I'm listening for ideas. Do you know what it is?
Me and my dad were thinking that they held water in that tank, and when they rode down the road, it would keep the dust down.
Okay, yes. Summertime, keep the dust down, sprinkle the roads. Yeah. So what are the posts on the side of the, what do you think they were used for? Well, that's a good theory. I like that one. Because we do have Enterprise articles that talk about sprinkling the roads. You know, the people yelling at the village council. If you look at these old village council minutes from the 1870s, 1880s, that got pretty nasty. The one clipping I've got, I'm getting off topic again, one of the clippings I have in the Sesquicentennial book is a copy of the village minutes from around 1870, and somebody says, you can go to H-L. And they recorded it exactly that way in the minutes. And so they talk in these minutes about people complaining about, in the summertime, the dusty roads, telling the village council, get out and sprinkle the roads down, and then they talk about the horse manure all over the roads. Then in the spring, they talk about the mud in the roads, building sidewalks and everything. But so you think that's a water sprinkling tank? Okay. Yeah.
This was actually in Miss LaRoque's shop.
Oh, it was.
I just bought a picture of downtown Manchester in there, and I look on the wall and I see, and I'm saying to my dad, Dad, that looks just like the Manchester Hotel. And so Miss LaRoque comes and says, that couldn't be the hotel. I bought that in an estate sale in Pinckney. And so we took it to the back of the store where she has a timeline, and all the windows matched up, and it was the Manchester Hotel.
Yep. Yeah, great find, a great find. I've never seen this before.
It's a real find.
Yeah, it's a good picture. It's got good depth to it. I like the depth in the picture, but
The building's way bigger than I ever thought it was.
oh yeah,
Down the side street.
oh yes, yes. It's. I mean, you look at what's left of the building now, just the lower level there in the back, and we've got in the Sesquicentennial commemorative book, we've got a great photograph of this hotel, one of those sepia tone pictures. And there's men and women walking around. It was obviously a staged picture. They got several pictures, they were staged that way, but the women with their 1890s dresses on with their parasols, the men with their best suits on, and they're walking and they're standing in front of the hotel and they're conversing and everything. And I thought, this is a great contrast. Here's this water tank sprinkling the dirty roads, and you know, it looks like right here there's a sidewalk. There's a walkway going across the road. And one of the pictures I've got in the book, the village council got a lot of complaints about no sidewalks. And so the one picture I've got shows what appear to be brand new sidewalks running up both sides of Main Street and coming down by the mill, because they're just glistening in the picture. They're so new. And that looks like it's the remains of one of them there with the horses and tromping across and probably wrecking them after a period of time. But great picture. Thank you for bringing it. Yes?
I had seen that sidewalk before, and I told my dad, because I went on the historic home tours, and they have the booklet of all the old buildings and stuff. And I told Dad, what if that was the sidewalk to the entrance of the Greens Motel?
It could be. They certainly would come up to another sidewalk in front, but this picture looks like it's probably taken from the porch of the Greens Hotel. I like him. He knows his stuff. He knows his history. This is great. Yes. Yes. Yes, you're certainly eligible for one of our scholarship student memberships, and we'd love to have you join. The membership table's in the back on your way out, so make sure you stop there. But this is great. As you know, one of our sesquicentennial goals was to get young people involved, so I love seeing people like this come. But I just wanted to throw this as our last slide tonight, just to show this picture. I thought, I've never seen this before. We still discover things, you know, and what a great shot. So thank you for letting us photograph that and show it tonight. Anything else, folks, before our treats? Jim and Lynn Wilson have brought some good stuff over there, so help yourself, and we'll look forward to our December 14th Dodworth Duo concert. Thank you.